I've got my son Kyle here.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about the Little Sugar mountain bike race down in Bentonville, right?
Yep, Bentonville, Arkansas.
I'm going to ask Kyle some questions. We're going to go through it. He's going to tell us about the race. We might get into the bike a little bit. I already posted a bike review from my own perspective. I'll probably ask Kyle a little bit about the Spearfish because he got to ride this bike a couple times before.
Yeah, a couple times before.
And then basically raced it, right?
Yep.
Anyway, how many miles was the race, Kyle?
61. 61 miles. Yeah, 60 miles.
It's mostly single track?
Yeah, it's pretty much all single track. You just cut out on a bike path for, I don't know, like maybe 2 or 3 miles.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And then there's a pavement at the end? Yeah.
Like a short stretch there.
Awesome. Kyle's 17, and this was your first time. We'd been in Bentonville when you were super little once, but this was your first kind of real time in Bentonville?
Yeah.
Riding?
For the first time that I can fully remember.
Let's go through the race and the course and tell us how it played out for you. And how did things go? Actually, first, let's talk about your pre-ride. How did things go on the pre-ride? What did you guys learn? Because day one, I got a phone call.
Yeah, so basically at the start during our pre-rides, we pretty much had our XC tires that we had ride around here. Very lightweight tires. And on our 5 miles into the single track, Reed had hit a rock and slashed through 2 layers of the tire and then cracked the rim.
Yeah. So I got a call about that, which was I was going to bring some other tires down anyways, right? Yeah. I was still in Minnesota. And then day 2.
We made it a lot farther. We were 15 miles in, and I slashed my sidewall on my rear tire.
So both of you, Reed and you, slashed tires. Reed actually broke a rim. Mom was not that far away. I think she was riding. And so I think she showed up and just gave Reed her wheels so you guys could finish pre-riding, I think. We'll get into the race, but then after those first 2 days of pre-riding, what was going through your head about the race?
That there was going to be a lot of flats and that we definitely needed a thicker tire and a lot of sealant.
I was here running the shop. I was back here in Minnesota and working on some stuff. And so the plan was I was going to go down there the day before the first race and then stay for the week. So I was there for the races, ride. I wasn't racing. I was the water boy. You guys didn't even have your gravel bikes. This will be another one, but the guys did the Big Sugar gravel race as well. So I was bringing down gravel bikes plus an extra mountain bike, mostly just as backup parts bike or something in case some of that stuff happened, but also just a bike that actually fit them because Mom's bike doesn't fit you guys.
Correct.
So what tires did you have? Because you had literally actually just mounted up a brand new tire to go down there, right?
Yeah. So I had 2 mezcals.
Is it mezcals?
Yeah, 2 mezcals. No, 2 Barzos. Yeah,
got it.
My bad. Two Barzos.
You had 2 Barzos?
Yeah, one of them was new, and then the one I've been racing the mountain bike races with.
Okay. So do you normally run a Barzo on the front, mezcal on the back?
Yeah.
And then for the race, you were going to run a Barzo on the back as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think you had put the brand new one on the front.
Yeah, front.
So that tire is actually still okay. We can use that one still.
Yep.
So we ended up taking the tires off, and Reed had a Recon on the front and I think an Ardent Race on the back.
Yeah.
We'll have to do this with him and chat about it. So you were riding this Spearfish, this demo Spearfish, and we took the stock wheels off it because we didn't want to mess them up. And you had actually set the bike up with our own drivetrain parts too, because we just didn't want to wear out demo stuff. And we already had stuff that was used. So, and we've got this older set of carbon wheels. It's actually a pretty nice set of wheels, but they're older. So if these ones got damaged, we were okay with that. So what tires did you end up mounting up?
We had a Wick and Will on the rear and then had a Knobby Nick on the front.
Yeah. And then tell us how much sealant we put in each tire.
16 ounces front and rear each, 16 front, 16 back.
Yeah. And you can feel it in there. It's a little ridiculous, but I guess our thought was you guys would rather finish the race a little slower with heavier tires and get through it than spend time on the side of the trail trying to figure out what to do with a slashed tire and plugging it and whatnot. Because the slashes in the tires you guys got during pre-ride, they were not pluggable, right?
No, it was from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, just cut the tire right open. It's not that these are super burly tires, but these are the super ground casings. So the super trails are definitely a burlier casing, but these are definitely a heavier tire, more tread knob to take the rock strikes and stuff than what a Vittoria Barzo is going to be.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, and there's cuts all over the back of this tire. So I bet there's not 16 ounces of sealant in it still. I know there's not because we lost sealant out the back side of here. There's dried up sealant all over. Okay, tell us about the race. We'll just jump right into you guys getting on the start gates. It's a big event, right?
Oh, yeah.
So 400 plus in free-for-all?
Yeah, because so we got there and we were just like sitting at a picnic table, and then we were looking at the start gates, and we were thinking that it was like the pro field was all lined up and at the start gates, so we were just still chillaxing. And then we realized that the pro fields were already lined up way up the start gate, and that massive group of people was actually in our race who were lined up way before the start of the race.
So you guys bugged out and we got in line. I mean, like, this is like a half hour ahead of time, right?
Oh, yeah, like a half hour.
More than that.
More than a half hour, yeah.
Yeah, because you guys didn't even go with me down to watch the pros roll out, right?
Correct. No, we didn't. We watched the 50 and then pretty much sat down for 5 minutes and then left.
Yeah, you guys were getting in line when the pros rolled out.
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't have the best gate placement at the beginning. There was, I'd say you were probably 150, 180 deep. Reed was a couple hundred deep. And then tell me about the rollout. And then there's like some grass hill, I think, where basically there's definitely a rush to get into the single track, right?
Yeah. So there was a long, pretty much we were on pavement for a while. Maybe not like a long time, but probably 2 miles-ish. And then like a mile in, there was like a sign that came out of absolute nowhere that I had to swerve to the right around it to get through. And then after that, it was like nice and open. And then we took a left off of it and went up this like grass deep hill. And it was all in when you took that left turn to get into single track as much positions as you could. I was able to make up a decent amount of positions up that hill because at this point, Reed was actually, I don't know, like 15 people ahead of me. And I closed that down to he was maybe 2 ahead of me.
I think I remember at mile 6.8 because you could go online and they had timing mats in various places. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 timing mats out on course, and then the finish line was the 7th. So I remember seeing you and Reed's times going through 6.8, and I think it was Reed maybe 20, 30 seconds out in front of you.
Yep.
Handful of places maybe
at
that point. And then I think at mile 17 then, it looked like you and Reed were together.
Yep.
Like wheel to wheel.
Yeah.
Going through. Okay. How long were you guys together?
We were together for probably around 20-ish miles.
Okay.
Yeah, around there. Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's probably like a handful miles before the 30-mile water stop. Yeah, I started to see drifting off. That's some of the trail that it sounds like people were cutting tires already. And I rode all of it, actually. And there's that cliff overhang spot. That's pretty cool. But the whole thing's super active. So how was it getting into that single track, wheel to wheel? And I know how people get antsy behind you, wheel to wheel. And straight up, you and Reed just haven't ridden single track this year. You guys did the dam, so you were doing just a lot of gravel miles.
Yeah.
And you only did a handful of Minnesota Series races, which was a lot of single track because that added up to a couple hundred miles of single track between those races. But yeah, so tell me, I asked the question and then didn't let you answer. But
Pretty much you entered it and then it went immediately to like downhill switchbacks. So it was just, everyone was pretty much track standing for a while for everyone to try and get around the downhill switchbacks.
had somebody crashed or something?
I think one person might have slid out, which just caused...
Everyone to stack up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then once we got through there, we all kept in this like the long single file lines for a while. And then eventually it started splitting up into maybe like groups of 10, 15.
Okay.
And then I think maybe 10 miles in, somewhere like that, someone did crash right in front of me, but I was able to get by them and didn't end up crashing as well.
How many, and you had seen people with flats by this time?
Yeah, tons of people. Yeah.
Okay. Even some of the pros maybe?
Yeah, when we crossed the first like neighborhood road, there was like 4 or so people just like on the side trying to fix flats and stuff.
Got it. Yeah, and that's what we just did. We didn't want to do that. We figured we'll err on the side of a lot of tire, slows you down. It's your first time doing it, you learn. So
yeah,
I'd probably do it again, to be honest. roll that way. Okay, so I know there's a section of that trail, Ledges is in the back 40, but there's that cliff overhang. It's a technical section. And how was that? Because I went out and rode it later that week, but how was that going through there with the race and people wanting to be on your wheel? That's assuming people were in front of you and behind you and that type of thing.
Yeah, going into there, I think we were pretty much there was probably a line of like 10 people.
Okay.
The first rock overhang area, it went very smoothly. No one had to walk, so everyone went through it. Nice. It was around somewhere halfway through the trail or something. There was a steep uphill. One person's tire slipped, and then everyone was pretty much track standing, trying to get moving. and then they just ended up just kept messing up there, like getting back on their bike, which
Is this the same person?
yeah, same person.
I got
Yeah,
it.
so everyone behind was getting a little annoyed.
Yeah.
But
No patience.
Yeah, no patience. And then I ended up messing up at trying to like track stand. So then I had to get off my bike, which then I got passed by 5 people or so.
Yeah. I forget, how many miles in was this? Sorry.
I think maybe 17, 18.
Okay.
Because I think we stopped there and it was like 15.
So there was a timing mat at 6.8, 17.4, and then the next one was mile 30.
I think the 17.41 would have been right before we entered that single track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because after that, you go up. It's weird. The trail gets a lot different. It's like small, tiny gravel
Yeah.
up in that trail, and the trail gets tighter. There was a section when I rode through that looked like the trail was almost blown out. There was a few inches of trail left that it'll have to get repaired after the race, but the people must have been, some tires probably got off the side of it, started sliding down it, because you could see the brush all
Yeah.
washed out. That was a couple switchbacks after that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at that moment where I had to get off, Reed did actually come by me again there. And then like a mile later, then I caught back up to him and then came by like a group of 3.
So at mile 6.8, you were in 60th place, and it looks like 429 racers made it to 6.8. And then at mile, and this was the open division, and then mile 17.4, you were in 47th place, and you were averaging 12.2 miles an hour at this point.
Yeah.
And then I actually can't remember specifically any real specific points of the trail between there and the end. It was all just, the trails are awesome.
Yeah.
They're rocky and chunky, lots of switchbacks. There's some flow stuff with berms and tabletops, but then there's just some loose climbs. There's a few steep pitches, some step up type of stuff, roots and rocks to get over. And yeah, tell me about how the race was going, because there's a kind of a big gap between 13 miles of gap then to mile 30 where you got your water bottle.
Yeah, so from around there, we crossed a little river stream. There was basically a waterfall at the bottom of it, so that was pretty cool. And then after that, it was just, the single track was very nice.
A lot of the trail just flowed after that pretty well, right?
Yeah, there was no technical sections pretty much from there to 30 miles.
There was some random step-ups and stuff, but it was pretty good. Again, I wasn't in the race. I didn't do the race, but I rode it later that week.
Yeah.
There was one section that was cool. There's kind of big boulders along the edge.
Yeah.
That was probably 25-ish or something miles, 22, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so mile 30 was the only aid stop that you were allowed support on course. And I don't think originally we were necessarily planning to be out there. We planned that, hey, be prepared to go it alone, the whole deal. I don't know what the aid stop looks like. They were very blunt about, hey, you're not allowed on course. If you are, there's this lumber yard. But I made it out there anyway. And we had some was it pre-mixed bottles or just cold water?
Pre-mixed bottles of the
Electrolyte mix?
Yeah, the electrolyte mix.
Okay. Kyle came through just like looking very strong. Didn't really slow down. And I don't have any of them on camera. I should have wore a GoPro chesty so that I could just record when you guys were coming through.
Yeah.
And I did that for some other stuff. I just can't remember. But I didn't have it with me then. Kyle came through and I was like, he's looking strong. And at mile 30, he had moved up a few more spots. He was sitting in 43rd. I was super excited because now he's like top 10%. You hadn't been on a lot of single track this year, and this was very much new single track for you. And on a bike you hadn't been riding. So I was pretty excited at that point. So the next section, of course, there's some stuff that's just mild, right?
Yeah.
A couple tight switchbacks. I think there was a tight, steep switchback that was super loose that I slipped out and fumbled up.
Yeah,
kind of
same.
somewhere around that point. It was a right-hander.
Yeah.
And then I know the trail after, once you got to the top of that, the trail was almost like some of our easy flowing local single track for a little bit. You came out to a little park. But then there's this point, all right, GoPro cut out. We were talking about ledges, but I think it got cut out too early. So let's take it from the top with ledges. Tell me what ledges is. It's about 39 miles in, and this is a technical section. It's along a ledge, and there's 2 spurs that go out along these ledges, go out on one and kind of flow back the other side that's lower, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a bit exposed, and there's some kind of tight turns in it. So tell me how that played out, Kyle.
Entering ledges, there was a group of 3 of us. We were all teenagers. And then there's another group of 3 or 4 that was coming up behind us. The first technical spot, the 2 people in front of me, they were able to make it through. I got hung up on it. Those 2 kind of got away from me there. And then once I got back and moving, I was slowly able to catch up to one of the 2. But then in ledges, there's all these. You go down some rocks and then take a sharp right or left back up.
Some of those are where the water's like the creek crossings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I rode it, I jumped off on a couple of those. I was like, I don't need to wreck myself.
Yeah, by that time, the group of the 3 or 4 that were behind me, they caught up to me. But we were all walking those sections. None of us were able to
You didn't see anybody ride it?
No.
Got it.
Yeah, we were all...
I mean, you're 40 miles in to a pretty techie race at this time. And so you're 3.5, close to 4 hours in. By that time, you're averaging at mile 46, which is a couple miles after that, your average speed was down to 10.6. Okay.
Yeah.
Ledges is actually where you slashed your tire during a course recon, right?
Yeah. And the funny part was it was after all the techie stuff.
After all the techie stuff at random. There's so many just random. It's really rocky. The trail is gravelly, and the rocks must just be, when they break up, have sharp edges there.
Yeah.
We're out of ledges now.
Yeah.
And there's a timing mat at mile 46, which must be shortly after coming out of ledges.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in 45th place at that point. You're 4 hours and 18 minutes in.
Yeah.
Is there some like kind of green, easy trail for a short period, or I can't remember? You go into this like Blowing Springs area, which is some fun stuff.
Yeah, you go on some green trails for a little bit, which is nice.
And then I know when I was riding it, because I rode that section literally the next day. And so I don't think the signs and stuff had been cleared up, but there were some places you could miss a turn. You had said some people in the race missed a turn, because I actually missed it. And I went across the road, flowed all the way down, realized I missed part of the trail. I wasn't racing, but I wanted to ride it. So I turned around, rode all the way back up. There's like an old camper motorhome or something nearby.
Yeah, it's a little bit before that. Basically, you can follow a single track that goes straight across the road, but you're actually needing to take a left and go up the road.
Up the road, yeah.
Which it's the only time that you actually take the pavement.
Because there's multiple road crossings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have multiple road crossings, and that's the only time you actually come out to the road and then went up the actual road.
Yeah.
And there's other moments in the trail where you're going up the road, but there's literally single track in the ditch along the road to get you to the next trail, right?
Yep.
It's pretty cool. Everything's connected by mountain bike trails there. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they did a good job having people at all the road crossings.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only times they didn't have anybody there was like dead-end neighborhood roads or something like that.
Yeah. What about the one where people were missing the turn?
There was no one there because it was a dead-end neighborhood road.
Got it. Okay, so you ride through the camper. If I remember, that was a fun trail.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom of that, is that where you go out on this, call it a spiral, but you go out on this like cliff ledge, and they had to basically put a big boardwalk trail to zigzag you and then bring you back in around to the cliff, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Got to watch your head for the rock above you.
It's pretty tight, isn't it? Okay, so at the bottom of that, it's pretty flowy.
Yeah.
It was fun. That was where the 50-mile timing map was at, pretty close to that, or 50.8. Kyle was sitting in 45th, and this were 4 hours and 52 minutes into the race.
Yeah.
So then the trail's pretty just easy from there, right?
Yeah.
And you even go out on some bike path, right?
Yep.
And then mile 56 timing mat, was that pretty much right before you go back up that like ledge by the highway?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. And you're in the home stretch, although that is a climb up there.
Yeah.
This is taking you back into slaughter pen trails, right?
Yep.
You guys are pretty wrecked at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, take me from there to the finish because you picked up some places between mile 50 and the finish, 9 to be exact.
Yeah. I know at around mile 51 or something, there was a Shimano aid station that had some water. A lot of us went in there, probably 5 or so of us that all pulled in there. I actually was able to get in and out like super quick.
Did you just get water?
Yeah, I just filled up both my water bottles. But I was able to get out there pretty quick, and then I started hammering on the bike path to just get up to speed and to maybe see if I could get away from the group I was with, which I successfully was able to. And then I caught up to one other person. We rode with each other for a while. We ended up passing a couple people. I would be like yo-yoing behind him, and then we got in the single track, and it pretty much stayed in the same positions for a while, like for a bit.
Which single track are we in now?
We're going up the
city trails to the finish?
Yeah, where you take a left off of the bike path and then go up the
that ridgeline climb along the highway. Got it. Okay, so we're probably still 10 miles out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we get there, me and him came by someone on the bike path, and then we got to the cliff climb. He dropped me pretty good at the start of it, but then I just was trying to keep my own pace steady and that I could hold just for the rest of the race. And then probably maybe 2 miles later, I re-caught him. And then we ended up actually from about 5 miles to the finish. We actually started coming by people in our race pulled over who were starting to feel the fatigue.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't like they weren't having mechanicals. They were just like exhausted.
And how many miles from the finish was this?
5-ish.
Got it. So this is after you came down the flow trail?
Yeah.
Okay. And then crossed kind of the bike path and...
Yeah.
Okay. So you're climbing to the finish now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was in that last 5 miles or so where I passed 1 or 2 of the people in my age group.
Oh, got it. Nice. So you just already picked up a couple age group spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because at mile 56, you were in 40th. And so where was that? Was there a timing that up at the top before the flow trail? Or, no, it would have been after that. Maybe at the bottom of it or something.
I think it might have been at the bottom of it.
Okay. Other thing?
Going up to the top of the flow trail, there was a group of 3 of us. I was able to get away from both of them on the downhill and then was able to stay away from them to the finish.
Is this a different flow trail? This is a flow trail up the hill toward the finish?
Yes, this is maybe 2 miles or like a mile and a half from
Is
the
that
finish.
close to where the pavement one's at? Did you guys do that one?
No.
Okay, but I think one kind of off or near around there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. There's a flow trail up there that's asphalt, but you didn't do that one. It was a different one? Okay.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, it was pretty much single track till like maybe half a mile, maybe a little bit more to the finish.
Okay. Was there anybody going into the finish with you or sprinting for the finish? So it was a solo finish? So.
Yeah, it was a solo finish.
What place did you end up?
36th.
Cool. And that was 36th overall?
Yeah.
And then what place in the 19 and under?
7th.
7th in the 19 and under. Cool. Good job, man. 2 other things. We could talk about nutrition and the bike real quick. You had a hydration pack.
Yep.
We didn't swap it out. So you had 1 hydration pack. We would do that differently next time, right?
Yeah.
What'd you have in your pack?
I had 5 packages of the SIS, the high carb mix.
80 grams a pack, and you have a 2-liter pack?
Yeah.
So with 2 liters of water, you had 400 grams of carbs.
Yep.
Okay. And then did you spread that out the whole race, or did you empty it at some point?
I spread it out throughout the whole race. And then I had just a bottle of the SIS high carb mix in one of my bottles as well.
Did you start with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then did you just suck that down the first thing?
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. An empty hydration pack for a little bit on your back is annoying, even though the packs hold in pretty good. But yeah.
And then this frame can hold 2 bottles, so then I had just a plain bottle of water.
Sure. Yeah. And then I handed you a lower carb electrolyte mix at the 30-mile mark?
Yep.
Got it. And then you must have had gels and other stuff, or?
Yeah, I had
Cliff Blocks
had Cliff Blocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those were, how many packages of those did you go through?
I think I went through maybe 2, 3, something like that.
Okay. And to do it again, What would we do different with a hydration pack?
We would basically have 2 hydration packs that we would swap at the 30.
Yeah, it would have been easier, right?
Yeah.
By 4 hours in, I'm assuming your hydration pack was close to drink. It's pretty warm. It was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we should have done a hydration pack hand up and could have had it in a cooler with cold. And then that might have alleviated some bottles or something too. What else on the nutrition? Anything to add there? What'd you have for breakfast?
So. Oh, waffles.
Waffles? Yeah. It's just regular homemade waffles. Reed's got like a waffle mix he makes up, you guys. All right, so we lost a battery too. But anyway, so we just switched devices really quick. Not well planned out. I did not think we were going to talk this long. But anyway, I think we covered everything on the nutrition. Did we? Okay, cool. So really quick about the bike. You might maybe do your own review, but before I ask you on the bikes you've had experience riding, you started with when you were younger, like Trek X-Cals. Did you have a Pro Cal? No. You went to Air 9s, and then you spent a year on a Cervelo ZHT, and then you've also taken a like to the 9er RKT, the Rocket, but the previous generation one.
Yeah.
Just try to, like, for some reference. Did you ever get a chance to ride the ZFS?
No.
No? Okay. Just pedaling around?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was good about this bike for you for this race?
So the bike in general was something different than what I've really been used to. It's a lot more slacked out than like the Rocket, the previous gen Rocket.
Yeah.
Which that was actually the bike I've been pretty much racing all year on the mountain biking side of things.
So you had told me the first time you rode this, you switched bikes with Reed so Reed could try it out, and then you jumped on the Rocket, and you were like, whoa, this is too steep all of a sudden.
Yeah. It was, but yeah, it's a lot more slacked out, but it does climb really good.
I mean, for you, are you a in the saddle climber, or could you find yourself staying in the saddle to climb versus having to stand up? Or
I feel like on this bike you can sit down a lot or
it's not that drastic, right? It's a few degrees steeper, the C-tube angle is, but if you find those times where you're like leaned out on the nose of the saddle to try to on those really steep pitches, on this bike you don't necessarily have to do that as much, right? Correct. Was that your experience?
Yep.
That was mine. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, it was for sure, yeah.
And then how about, because I would say if you struggle in an area, it's techie stuff, mostly just because you don't ride enough of it.
Yeah.
Here locally, because you got to drive somewhere to go do it. And this year you guys spent a lot of time just building endurance on gravel bikes.
Yeah.
Did you get to ride some stuff faster, more comfortably than you thought you might otherwise, or I don't know?
Yeah, for sure. There was multiple rock gardens that I probably wouldn't have been able to do on like the Rocket or some other, or it just helped me do it a lot faster. At least.
We'd put a 36-tooth chainring on it because we just had these with our transmission drive cranks. Was that a good idea or bad idea?
I would have switched to a 34. There's definitely some climbs around there where a 34 tooth would have been actually very helpful.
Yeah. You'd climb everything in the 36, but 40 miles in, is it kind of one of those deals where you wouldn't have minded be able to spin it out a little bit more?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Maybe next year the 36 is fine. So this bike is spec'd to max clear a 34, but we put a 36 on and it clears. Cool. What do you think about what we did with tires? Would you do 16 ounces of sealant again, and would you run these tires again?
The tires, definitely.
Would you go this much in the front on that one, or would you just do Wicked Wheels front and rear?
I would actually probably just do Wicked Wheels front and rear.
Yeah. These seem to be pretty good. Your front tire is not beat up like the rear. Yeah, the rear is the one that's taking the beating. Would you still do 16 ounces of sealant, or would you dial that back a little bit?
Dial it back a little bit.
Yeah, you can feel it in the tire. So,
yeah.
Yeah. You definitely lost some sealant during the race, but you can feel it in the tire. It's probably a little overkill, but anyway, now we know. Anything else?
No.
Awesome. Thanks for following along. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks.